You ever wake up one morning and realize the universe has decided you're today's entertainment? I mean, congratulations, right? I remember the moment it hit me, standing in my own kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, listening to a woman who sounded like she'd just bitten down on a lemon. "You have no idea who you're dealing with, Mr. Carter." That's what she said, like something out of a bad TV show. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Silence can rattle people more than words. And boy, did she rattle easy. Then she dropped her real threat, voice flat as winter ice. "We will bury you in legal fees. You'll lose everything. When it's over, you'll wish you'd just taken our offer." I could picture her perfectly. Linda Graves, probably perched on some $800 office chair, sunglasses on indoors, because why not? I waited until she'd run out of things to say. "No, Linda," I said, slow and steady. "When this is over, you'll be the one wishing." Then I hung up. Sometimes you need the last word. Sometimes hanging up is the last word. So, this is where my story starts. And yeah, if there's a record for the world's most expensive act of revenge against a homeowners association, well, I've got the trophy on my mantle. They took my land. I took their $12 million mansions. All above board, all legal. Not that anyone's sending me a thank you card. My name's Daniel Carter, forensic accountant by trade. Basically, I hunt money. Corporate fraud, shell games, offshore accounts, the sort of thing that keeps people up at night. I'm not bragging, just setting the stage. But the real fight of my life didn't start in some boardroom, didn't even start with numbers. It started here, on the rocky edge of Lake Westfield. My family's land for over 100 years. More than just dirt and water. History you could smell if you knew where to sniff. My grandfather built the first pier here in 1912. My dad taught me to fish off the East Dock. There's a boathouse by the cove that still smells like cedar and machine oil. Every inch of this place, its memory, its heartbeat, its home. You know that feeling? When the world changes, but your little corner stays the same. That's what this land was to me. But if you know anything about developers, you know the scent of old money and old stories doesn't mean a damn thing if there's water access and a profit to be made. Still, I believe the rules mattered. I was wrong. Trouble started the way it always does. Small, almost polite. Like a tick that bites, but doesn't draw blood yet. First morning, I found the dock gate padlock shut. Orange County signs screaming, "Unsafe structure, access prohibited." Like a slap in the face. Someone filed a complaint. The week after, tire tracks crisscrossed my meadow, straight from the fancy new Harbor Point Marina. My latest neighbors, the Glass and Stone crowd. Gated community, each house screaming, "Look at me." I got to know the name Mariner Developments real fast. The HOA was their army. Rules for everything. Even rules about the color of kayak racks. I kid you not. At the center of the hive, Linda Graves, Queen Bee, president, socialite, full-time enforcer of the HOA gospel. I met her one September morning. She wandered up my shoreline uninvited, arms folded like a judge, staring at the oldest oaks on my property. "They block the lake view from several of our residences," she said. "You should consider having them removed." I laughed. Not a nice way. "Lady, those trees have been here longer than your neighborhood." Her smile? "I've seen drywall less brittle. Sometimes progress means letting go of the past, Mr. Carter." She mistook my silence for surrender. That's on her. A month later, beige envelope on my boathouse door, fluttering in the lake wind. Inside, legalese meant to trip you up, a county notice saying my land was abandoned, ownership transferred to Harbor Point. Sold, just like that, to Mariner for a Phase 2 expansion. Mansions, private marinas, the whole 9 yards. And that's how they thought they'd erase me. Guess nobody told them what happens when you back the wrong man into a corner. Let me paint you a picture. Lake Westfield's not some city pond. The shoreline scarred, full of hidden shallows, inlets you could disappear in. Out here, you don't just own the land, you belong to it. That's how my folks raised me. When they passed, This place was my anchor, my peace, my house. Nothing to show off. Cedar siding, silvered by sun and rain. Porch just wide enough for 2 rocking chairs and a coffee cup. If you've ever watched the mist crawl off a lake at sunrise, you know why some people never leave. Quiet isn't empty, it's honest. But that quiet shattered the day Harbor Point moved in. At first, it was just a headline in the local paper. 100 acres of woods bulldozed for luxury living. Private docks, gated entrances, golf carts buzzing like angry wasps. I grumbled, but it wasn't my business. Then, the HOA started poking at me. First a letter, shoreline erosion, posing a visual detraction. You ever heard of that? Neither had I. I ignored it. Then came the games. The boathouse, structurally unsound. Past inspection, of course. Next week, another unsafe sign. Then a landscaping crew, uninvited, trundling up to tidy up my shore. I chased them off. They apologized and hightailed it back through the Harbor Point gates. Linda started dropping by, always looking like she was late for a tennis match, always with that shark smile. Once, I found her on my dock, binoculars trained down the shoreline. "You're on private property," I said. "So are you," she snapped. "This dock violates county setbacks." "Been here since 1912, I told her. "Your rules weren't even an idea back then." "Times change," she said. That's when I realized. These folks didn't want neighbors, they wanted conquest. The beige envelope was no mistake. Abandoned property, public nuisance, transfer of ownership. Then in fine print, Phase 2 expansion, private marina, new villas. They didn't want a slice. They wanted it all. I stood on my dock, wind off the lake tearing at the paper in my hand, and for a second, I felt nothing. Not rage, not fear. Just cold. I've hunted enough fraud to know. The moment someone thinks they're untouchable, they've already slipped. You ever watch a meeting run by someone who loves power? Linda didn't just run HOA meetings, she put on a show. 2 weeks before the envelope, I dropped in on their board session just to see the cast in action. The place looked like a 5-star hotel lobby, not a community hall. Linda sat center stage, silk blouse, hair helmeted into submission, smile sharp enough to shave with. They spent half an hour debating the color of paddleboard racks. I waited until she noticed me. "Mr. Carter, would you like to explain your presence?" she asked. I gave her the same polite tone I'd use if someone let their dog pee on my shoes. "Thought I'd hear why you're so interested in my property straight from you." Murmurs in the crowd. Linda leaned back, hands folded. "Your land is an unfortunate eyesore. We have standards. Property value's fine without your help," I said. A couple folks snorted. She didn't like that. We danced around safety concerns, maintenance, progress for the majority, the usual script. "That's the thing about land," I said. "It's not up for a popularity vote." The room went quiet. Linda smiled, that "you'll regret this" smile. And she moved on. But she knew, and I knew, the gloves were off. So, here's how you fight a war in suburbia. Not with guns. With records. With sunlight. I retreated to my office, my dad's old tackle room, still smelling like oil and cedar. County property records. Parcel 11B06, transferred to Harbor Point. Authorization by Mitchell Ross, zoning clerk. His name came up in HOA minutes before. That was no accident. HOA budgets. Public if you know where to look. 3 years' worth landed on my desk. Security consulting went from $70,000 to $482,000 in 1 year. Community relations ballooned too. If you've ever followed money, you know what that means. Someone's hiding something. Time for boots on the ground. I hit the diner in town. Found Jimmy, high school friend, now part-time Harbor Point contractor. "You wouldn't believe the stuff they pull," he said, stirring his coffee. "Redoing landscaping on lots they don't even own yet. Prepping for some big project." I kept my poker face. "Which lot?" "Down by the South Cove. Some stubborn guy won't sell." "I might know him," I said. Jimmy let slip that Linda was cozy with a consultant, Evan Kessler, ex-lawyer, disbarred for dirty land deals. I did my homework, bankruptcy filings, old cases, new LLCs. Sure enough, Harbor Point Development Partners, with Kessler and Linda as co-managers. This wasn't a spat over hedges. This was a land grab. That night, wind howling outside, I pieced together the game. They'd filed bogus complaints, pushed county hands, laundered money through shell companies. But you can't set a trap without bait. The next morning, I drove past Harbor Point's main gate. Not subtle. You want to spook sharks? Let them see you circling. By noon, Linda was calling. Perhaps you prefer a civilized conversation. I didn't call back. Instead, I filed a lease pendens. Fancy Latin for, hey, you can't sell this property. I'm fighting you in court. Comes up the works. I called Sarah, old friend, now an investigative reporter. She owed me a favor. She started sniffing around Harbor Point, just writing a luxury feature, she said, grinning. I turned up the heat. Anonymous tips to county inspectors about code violations at Harbor Point. IRS whistleblower line. Check their nonprofit filings. All legit, all true. My aim wasn't chaos. Not yet. I wanted them to sweat. A few days later, Sarah calls me. Coffee now. You're going to want to hear this. She slides over a recorder. Mark Graves, Linda's husband, slurring after a little too much wine. If the county digs too deep, they'll find everything. Shell companies, landscaping kickbacks, payouts, that's the kind of thing that doesn't go away. I started sending packets of evidence, just enough, to the right people. The county, the state attorney's office, the press, select Harbor Point homeowners. You don't need to torch the whole forest. You just need to light the right branches. The cracks appeared quick. County inspectors slapped stop work notices on Harbor Point's latest build. Turns out they'd built over wetlands. Channel 9 ran a segment, Questions over Rapid Expansion. Next thing I know, one of Linda's own board members, David Walsh, is calling. Not all of us are happy, he says. If you've got the goods, you might find some friends here. That's when I knew it wasn't just me against them anymore. Sarah's research triggered a domino run. Press stories, public hearings, IRS inquiries, neighbors whispering in the aisles of their overpriced grocery store. Linda panicked. Sent me a letter, all legal threats and bluster. I smiled, tossed it in the drawer. The more they reacted, the more ground I gained. Finally, the big break. Sarah got a leaked memo. Linda's assistant asking for backdated county approvals, copying Kessler. Illegal, pure and simple. I sent it to Walsh. Time to end this, I said. Next HOA meeting, he drops the bomb. Board fractures, members start walking out. Sarah pulls the trigger. Primetime news expose, fraud, shell companies, the works. The real hammer came the next morning. Search warrants. County and state investigators swarmed Harbor Point. Residents staring, reporters circling like crows. Linda, jaw set, flanked by deputies. No one wanted to stand next to her anymore. The clubhouse emptied out, boxes hauled off, headlines blazing. HOA president under investigation for $12 million fraud. Just like that, the untouchable fortress crumbled. And me? I didn't even pop a beer. There was still the land. The legal mess would take months. But as my attorney said, they folded. You're getting the land back. Signed and filed just like that. 2,200 acres restored. Should have felt like victory, but part of me wanted more. See, the state froze Harbor Point's assets. Their HOA bylaws triggered a provision. When a board collapses, lien holders can force the sale of assets. Turns out I was now the biggest lien holder. So I did. Forced auction. 3 prime mansions on the block. Linda? Nowhere in sight. Board in pieces, money gone, residents scrambling. I lined up a new buyer, someone who'd turn those palaces into vacation rentals open to the public. Mansions that once screamed exclusive, now full of fishermen, families, anyone with a weekend and a few bucks. Within a month, Harbor Point changed. The rich kept their heads down. The rest, they adapted. You'd see kids cannonballing off the docks, neighbors talking for real, not just polite nods. And Linda? Indicted on fraud, conspiracy, falsifying records. Kessler, too. Turns out the state dug deeper than even I'd hoped. Walsh met me at a diner one morning, gray around the temples, but grinning. Most of us just talk about doing something. You did it. I just shrugged. Couldn't have done it alone. Needed him, Sarah, all the little pieces that added up. Legal mess took a while to untangle. But at last, I could walk the land, every acre, without feeling a shadow behind me. One night, I took the old trail down to the ridge, sun setting gold over the lake. Harbor Point was just part of the horizon now. Not a threat. Just there. Some people think revenge is about evening the score. I don't buy it. It's about making sure the game can't be played the same way again. That's the real win. Not just for me, for everyone who's been steamrolled by people with too much power and too little conscience. So, let me ask you, since you're still here listening, when someone crosses the line, really crosses it, what's fair payback? Should you let it go? Trust the system? Or is there a time to push back, play their game, and beat them at it? I'd love to hear what you think. Ever fought back and actually won? Or maybe you tried and got burned. Drop your story below. Let's see where the line really is and who's got the guts to draw it.